Why are you excited to be here tonight?
Because I'm just excited.
Yeah. No other explanation. Now, I do believe, tell me the truth, is it true that your dad has a ringside seat but didn't get you guys ringside seats?
That is true, but it's because of his YouTube channel, okay? It's his YouTube, okay?
Her dad's an influencer. Let him go, guys. But your dad's awesome, right?
Yeah.
See, he's awesome! Yeah! Give it up for Claire. Thank you so much, Claire. High five. Yeah!
Can you believe that there's some people in this world that did not tune in to the Alliance Vlog podcast? Shame on you! Shame on you! My name is Ella Indy, and I'm one half of the NWA Women's World Tag Team Champion. And I'm Kiki Page, the other half of the NWA World Women's Tag Team Champion. And you better go listen to the Alliance Vlog, what is it called again? Podcast, period. Or you're ugly. Period. Power approved. Alright.
Hey guys, check this out. I am officially now sponsored by Dubby. Dubby is a clean energy drink made to give you focus with no crash. If you guys are like me, you're always needing a burst of energy, especially with one with no crash. Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. It keeps me awake with no jitters, guys. Check it out. Merch link is in the bio. Dubby. What is up, everybody? I know how to do this. I'm a professional. Welcome to the Alliance Guys podcast. No, it's not the Alliance Guys podcast. Welcome to the pre-party, pal. Woo! I swear I've not been drinking today. It feels like I have been. Jeez Louise. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the pre-party, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. My name is J-Cal, and each and every Tuesday, I come to you, my hashtag NWA fam, to speak on the truth, the righteous, the good Lord, I love it, NWA. And we're here. This circle continues to grow, my friends, as we are the Alliance, and we are here to talk about the NWA. And let me tell you, Daddy, that this started 14 years ago today. Your boy Jay literally sat in an office somewhat similar to this. No cameras. No. He was on a cell phone. And he called into that Blog Talk Radio number, Daddy, and proceeded to talk about the territories of yesteryear. We used to talk about Blue Demon Jr. as the world's heavyweight champion, taking that 10 pounds of gold anywhere that he could get booked. We talk about this young upstart, this NWA Florida champion. His name was the Sheik. And the Sheik's mission was to get a shot at Blue Demon Jr. That match never happened. And this whole time, Daddy, we were talking NWA. All three of you there supporting me along the way. We've come a long way since then, guys. But I'm so excited that every Tuesday you allow me to be a part of your podcast viewing habits. I do enjoy our chats every Tuesday talking about the National Wrestling Alliance. And we do that here not only on YouTube, but I'm also right now live streaming on TikTok. I don't do any dances on TikToks, but sometimes I tell dad jokes and show you what I'm doing for life. Yeah, Mike. Well, you're part of the problem, man, and we're the solution together. So yeah, it's a 14th anniversary, the birthday, if you will. The original program was called the Alliance Wrestling Radio, and you had to say it like that too, radio. And like I said, that show started off with 3 listeners, and those listeners are still around today. You'll see Big Chris Dog very active in our Discord forum. You'll see Jaden and DKM as part of my co-host for the Alliance Guys podcast. So it went Alliance Wrestling Radio to talk NWA to what we're doing now, which is the Alliance Guys podcast. But of course, this pre-party and all of it is all kind of all the same at this point. But I do see a lot of my pals and friends in the chat here, and I've been kind of ignoring you, but let me get to it. Let me talk to you guys. First of all, I see a comment on the TikTok. It says, in your non-biased opinion, would you say that Ohio Valley Wrestling has a better product than the NWA currently? I can't speak to that. Jay's Nerdy Life. I can't speak to that because I don't watch Ohio Valley Wrestling. What I've seen from it, production-wise, I feel like it's severely lacking. It doesn't come across looking as good to me as what the NWA puts out. And that's not to say that the in-ring quality might be amazing. I know that a few of the wrestlers from the NWA have traveled to Ohio Valley. I know Adonis has wrestled there a handful of times. I know the Pope had made an appearance when he was still with the NWA. And I know currently EC3 has been entangled with Jesse Gooders. But I'm not super familiar with the product. I think Hollywood Haley J is a star waiting to be given an opportunity. You can see her on WOW. You see her in Ohio Valley. But in terms of, is it as good as the NWA? I don't know. I can't honestly comment on that. I do know what I like about the NWA is the storytelling has been a lot more consistent as of late. The in-ring action has been very, very good. I really do like this roster that's in the NWA. A lot of what I disliked about it has seemingly disappeared ever since the 75th anniversary show. So there's a lot more positive for me to talk about with the NWA versus Ohio Valley. Now, back to my folks over here on YouTube. We got Mike in the house. He says, yeah, Dubby. Is that what I should do? Sam says, Alliance territory from what's up. Let's talk nostalgic wrestling Alliance. Anytime you want, brother. I love the history of the NWA is what's the history of the NWA is what's really important to me. Hold on a second. Sorry, I'm also running a business right now. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Really, really apologize. I do love the history of the NWA, and that's super important to me. The history of the NWA is what makes it today so important. If Billy Corgan would have just started off without the NWA and just called it the Billy Corgan Championship Wrestling and Smashing Pumpkin Wrestling, I don't know that I would be invested in it. I don't know that I would have tried to follow it. But the fact of the matter is that when he bought those 3 letters, he bought a wealth of history, a wealth of goodwill, right? A wealth of integrity. Because that's what the NWA stood for, was that tradition and the legacy and the history of pro wrestling. So when Billy Corgan bought those 3 letters, he certainly invested in the past and the present of the NWA. And now we're seeing what's being planted for the future. So, let's talk about the nostalgic of wrestling of the NWA. You need to say one of those voice buttons, have it say W. Yeah, W. Sorry, guys. I do apologize. Shaking. Hello, everybody. I'm with the wife. Double D, doing some grocery shopping. I need some bananas to go with my almonds. I'd appreciate it. That promo was actually shot last year at Hard Times before they lost the tag titles. And I'll say this, and I know that, if anyone asks, Ella Envy is who you see on camera, but she was such a sweetheart to one of the fans that were there. She was such a sweetheart. Her and Kenzie Page were so sweet to this elderly wrestling fan who was in a wheelchair. They were very sweet to her, and I was blown away how kind they were. And then, boom, they were right at it. And when I asked them to cut that promo, I paid them a little bit of, paid a little coin for that, but they did not rehearse that. That was all one take, and it was magic. And I always knew that Ella Envy and Kenzie Page were very talented. Well, I can't say always, but they've definitely proven to me that they are very talented ladies. But the fact that they cut that promo, that put over this podcast with, I'm sure they've never even heard of it before. But the fact that they were able to do that in literally 30 seconds was pretty eye-opening to me. Let's see. Mike said, oh, you guys are talking together. Boo Jay, the horrible guy. That's right. After all this time, I just noticed Sal sitting in the corner, too. That's one of the best parts. Sal got a hat for that, by the way. Let's see. I've seen it just stoned and bring. All right, Double D, you got it. I appreciate the love, Double D. I'm drinking and having party favors. Mike, you gotta be careful, brother. Yeah, 14 years of legacy. Yeah, man, we've been doing this for a while. And like I said, I said this on the TikTok, but also, there was a point in time where this was the podcast record for the NWA. We were never an official podcast, but I mean, we were endorsed by everybody in the NWA. I had former champions. I had obviously Scrap Iron Adam Pierce, David Marquez, a former NWA board of directors president, Bob Trowbridge, Fred Rubenstein, Howard Brody. Let's see, who else can I name drop? Ken Taylor was always cool about sending me talent from NWA Southwest, so we were able to speak to Charlie Haas. I was able to talk to, obviously, Jack Stain is a friend of the show, but also Lance Archer, Murder Hawk. We used to call him Lance Hoyt. Lance Cade came on the show before he passed away. We even had Doink. Doink the Clown came onto the podcast. Matt Bourne. That was a pretty cool experience. Sanjay Dutt. A lot of the stars from the Northeast would come on too. Sanjay Dutt, B-Boy, Sebastian Cruz. We had guys from Mountain State like Chase Owens, the Maestro, Matt Connard. A lot of folks from the Tennessee area. Like we had I'm forgetting a lot of names now, but we had a lot of people come through, and that was one of my favorite parts of the show. It used to be more of like an interview format as opposed to like a wrestling news and information show, but we try to mix it all in, and that's why occasionally we'll have guests and stuff come on too. But yeah, thanks, James. I appreciate that. Heebs is in the house. What's up, Heebs? That's what makes it funny. He wasn't gimmick all 60 seconds. Yeah, he rolled with it. Let's see. What's up, Willie? What's going on? Yeah, I'm on TikTok too, man. I try to be everywhere. Shrek, I think you're I think this is 3 weeks in a row. I think, at least for the pre-party. I think you were jumped on to the other shows too, which is cool, man. Love it. Excuse me. The last time I had a clean-shaven face was probably 2017. My wife, who loves this miraculous growth upon my face, got bored with it and said, "Hey, why don't you shave that off for our Christmas pictures?" I said, "Sure, whatever you want, dear." I shaved it off, and that Christmas I got all kinds of beard grooming products because she's like, "Grow it back." So yeah, it's been a while. Hey, Mike, that's all right. Bad dad jokes are good. Yeah, you know what, Sam? I liked it too. The radio. I don't know. Does it sound cool or lame? I don't know. I loved it. Yeah, so you could tell I was channeling my inner LA Knight, excuse me. Willie Bowen says the Immortals will be the next U.S. Tag Team Champions. Knox and Murdoch will be the next World Tag Team Champions. Ooh, those are some bold predictions, Willie Bowen. Some bold predictions. What does everybody want? Yeah. Sam Retro says that he's loved Haley J since Empower. Yeah, I mean, she showed up, right? She showed up, but didn't even get a chance to wrestle. And I don't know why the whole Free Babes thing didn't work. I've heard rumors and suggestions and innuendos, none of which were indicting Haley J. So who knows why? But, maybe down the road, we might see her in the NWA. There's a lot of parallels between her and Kenzie Page. I'm not saying that they're the same person. I'm just saying that their work ethic, the way that they work. And Haley J could be a dominant babyface. Well, I guess dominant is not the right word. Could be a very over babyface for the NWA if that was something that they'd want to do. But at the same time, like you still have a lot of opportunity to grow the women's division, and I don't know which route they're going to go. Haley J may or may not be a good option or viable for them down the road, especially with all the success that Ohio Valley has been getting from their Netflix special Wrestlers. I haven't watched one episode of that yet. I probably should. A lot of people tell me I should. All right, Mike, good for you, man. 49. What are you going to do with yourself? Podcasting, that's right. Let's see. Wish I could retire at 40. That's just down the road for me, man. Why do I need an assistant? What am I doing wrong? Oh yeah, everything. Yeah, that's true. Let's see. I'm just trying to get some more comments. Shrek, what's Shrek? Without telling me what state you live in or city you live in, what state do you live in? I can send you some suggestions on some wrestling schools if you're in some places. I know that Nashville, or Tennessee. Jeez, I can't even talk anymore. I think one of the best places to train for wrestling right now would probably be the Pritchard Jacobs Wrestling, or Jacob Pritchard's Wrestling Academy, and I believe they're near. I want to say they're near Nashville, in Tennessee. That's where a lot of this talent has been coming from that the NWA has been picking up on. Beach bum thing? I don't know what you're talking about, Dow. Can't say stuff like that on here. Let's see. Eric Draven. What's up, NWA family? My boy James H. Jackson is in the house. We got Jammy Music Man's also in the house. Let's see. The Maestro, I seen his interview. He had a pretty valet. Some other names I can't think of now. One of his valets ended up becoming Ryan Shamrock in the WWE. And yeah, she didn't last very long. Let's see. More. Our boy, the great Hisa, is here. Dow says, I'll never make TikTok that account or Twitter X. Even if I was rich and famous, I would refuse. Hey, man. Look, all I'm trying to do is grow a brand. Grow a pair. Sorry. Yeah, again, when you're trying to build something, you kind of have to do things you don't necessarily want to do. I never wanted social media. I was one of those who was reluctant to get on MySpace, did it. When it started to fade away, I was happy. But because I started doing all of this wrestling content, I needed a place to funnel it. So initially, my goal was never to be on camera. My goal was never to be on a podcast video. My goal was to write about wrestling. And I still do occasionally at alliance-wrestling.com. But, the whole industry shift. And even though there is people who still read, there's more people who watch podcasts. And so initially what was started to bring traffic to a website has now been kind of more doing the podcast gets more more info and stuff, more data and more info out there. I get more eyeballs watching this podcast and viewing the podcast every week than I do going to a website. So my goal was to write about this stuff. My goal was to try to land a job working with Pro Wrestling Insider. I wrote for them briefly, only as like a freelancer. I always, honestly, I wanted to work for Pro Wrestling Illustrated and have a column, but that doesn't seem like it's in the works. I can't even get the folks at the NWA office to call me back about writing for them. My local NWA territory was NWA New England and was run by Boston Bad Boy. Yeah, man. So, James, then that begs the question, did you ever hold on a second. That begs the question, did you ever get to see some of the action with the NWA World's title, the whole deal with the split titles and the split lineages and how they were trying to create a disputed NWA championship? Sean Mega's in the house. Sean Mega's one of these guys that's been around for a long time. Sean Mega, did you ever listen to the podcast when we were on Blog Talk Radio? I would love to know that. I wish they had the Empower match there. Did she not wrestle there? I can't recall, but if you don't like her in some companies too, she's a star for the WWE, I think. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm sorry. Haley James needs to be a Jeff Hardy fan. She's closer to Sonny, but he is a real man. Bro, Dow, I'm not sure what you're talking about, man. I'm sorry. Jay's Nerdy Life says EC3 isn't a draw. The NWA needs to put the world title back on Matt Cardona. What do you guys think? Should Matt Cardona be NWA World's Heavyweight Champion again? I disagree with you there, Jay, and it's not anything personal, but I feel like EC3 has already started galvanizing this NWA fan base. I feel like if you look at what EC3 has done in such a short amount of time, you got to remember the former champion Tyrus held that belt for just over 8 months, 233 days or something like that. And in that time defended the title 4 times. Matt Cardona, not much better. I'll pull it up right now and I'll tell you exactly how many times Matt Cardona defended the World's Heavyweight Championship. Now, granted, he got injured. And you have to respect that. Like, hey, look, shit happens. He got hurt. That wasn't really his fault. He held the title for 119 days. In that 119 days that he held it, he defended the title in March of 2022 against Nick Aldis. I was there for that. He defeated the Pope, which was in the studio, in Skyway Studios in Nashville. So that's 2 defenses in Nashville. He had 1 defense in Madison, West Virginia against Richard Holiday, who was a replacement for Davey Richards. That was a pretty solid deal right there. So he had 3 title defenses in 119 days and then got injured at a Game Changer Wrestling show. So my idea of Matt Cardona is, although I like Matt Cardona as a worker, I think he's a great hustler. I don't want him anywhere near the 10 pounds of gold. And I think if maybe down the road a matchup between Cardona and EC3 might be something interesting. I mean, the guy himself is so busy. He'll never put the NWA as a top priority, which I wouldn't ask him to. I mean, he's making so much money on the indies. Like, that's where his money's at. Okay, more comments. I know she's back in WoW in December for more tapings. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Dow, yes. Hollywood Haley J will be there. You think I sound like Don West? Oh, shit. Shrek, Generico isn't missing, man. He's down in Mexico helping out in the orphanages, much like Nacho Libre. Let's see. Let's just say Fastlane was in the state, but I know 3 schools, but I don't have a license to drive. Understood, Shrek. I would, if you want to be a wrestler, man, don't let anything stop you. If you have to, pick up some work on the side until you can get there, go for it, brother. But it's not an easy path, man. A lot of us in here would like to have been wrestlers and never were able to do that. But good luck to you, man. Thank you, Hisa. You are probably right because I'm not very good with American geography. I'm not really good with any geography. California. I could tell you pretty much California geography and maybe a little bit of Nevada as well. Let's see. I was gonna ask, are you gonna do the Wednesday TNA Wrestling Brown Bag specials? Oh man, I'm getting on both sites now. Oh shit. You guys think I sound like Don West? Oh wow, they said they cut a promo for the Alliance blog, didn't you? Yeah, Ella Envy and Kylie, Kenzie Page cut that promo for the Alliance blog. Yeah. Avoid the School of Morton. Okay. All right. Here's to many more years of the interwebs. Long live the Alliance. That's the thing, Scoob. That's why I surround myself with people who are good, because I'm so bad. No, I mean, if you guys have checked out, obviously, the Alliance Guys podcast, we've been growing. The whole account's been growing. We have the other Alliance guys, Dave, Scooby, Tim, and Jeremy, all joining their triumphant forces to put on a podcast where they're talking MLW, they're doing some fantasy booking, they're talking about United Wrestling Network, and of course, still the brand is talking about the NWA. That's kind of what we do first and foremost. And I'm lucky to have those guys a part of this podcast, this arena, and I'm lucky to have you guys as our listenership. This is a community that we're kind of building together. I use that hashtag We Are the Alliance in a lot of the things I post on social media. And it's because it's not just me, man. It's we. There's a lot of you guys out here who help plug away, help support the podcast, help support the show. And I'm grateful for each and every one of you. And that's not me getting sentimental. That's just the God honest truth. This podcast would still be me talking to 3 people if we didn't have people who were invested and helped us grow. Even if I sound like Don West. Steve G's in the house. What's up, Steve G? I never was a podcast person, so wow, that's a huge compliment, Sam. I really do appreciate that. That means a lot to me. Thank you. Let's see. What's the power card today? I'm glad you asked, Steve. I actually have it right here handy. Now, the probably the opening match is going to be for the NWA Women's Television. I guess we just call it a Women's World Television title now, with defenses in both Japan, Finland, and Australia. I think we have to say this. It is a world title, and Max the Impaler will defend their TV title against MJ Jenkins. Also on the card, and a number 1 contenders match for the NWA National Championship. We see Zyon taking on Chris Adonis. Winner of that, I'm assuming, will be facing the Thrillbilly at the Sao Wen pay-per-view. Then we also have Thom Latimer taking on Koa Laxamana. And that match, I think, I don't really know why that match was booked. But, maybe it's just a tune-up for the number 1 contender to the world title. That's probably the main event. No, I'm sorry. The national championship is probably the main event. Let me rephrase that. The number 1 contenders match for that national title is probably the main event. Also, we have Mecha Wolf taking on Yabo The Clown in a Pick Your Poison match. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Mecha Wolf was out in the Chicago area wrestling for GLLI, which at one point was a NWA affiliate through the NWA Midwest, old school stuff. And Mecha Wolf was attacked by the Brothers of Funstruction. There's video of it available on X.com, Twitter.com. Just follow either the clowns. I think even the NWA might have reposted it. So that's pretty crazy. And then, of course, the video with Thom Latimer, who apparently went ham on EC3 at the the last show. Sorry about that. My camera died. Apparently, sorry. Well, what's going on here? Apparently, during after the matchup at the after the matchup at Exodus Pro, EC3 was attacked by Thom Latimer, and maybe they'll have some of that footage tonight on tonight's episode of Power. Let's see. Now let's get to some more of the comments. Let's see. And Fiona's in the house. Fiona, I think in the next couple of weeks, I don't know exactly when, but I'm going to have Fiona co-host the pre-party with me. It'll be the first transatlantic podcast presented by alliance-wrestling.com. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Fee is awesome. Fee is super knowledgeable about wrestling. She's not just a pretty face. She actually knows wrestling. And she's very sweet and fun to talk to. I got to meet her in Nashville last year, and she's such a hoot. And look forward to having her jump on here. She also has a podcast too. The name I'm blanking on. I think it's called. Oh, Fee, plug your podcast, please. I forgot what it's called. But yeah, you guys should check that out for a different perspective on the NWA. Also, the Kickout Crew. The Kickout Crew have a podcast that focuses a lot on the NWA as well. You guys should check that out. I don't have links handy with me, but if you guys have them, let me know. I'll post them not only here on the show, I'll post them on my socials as well. A couple of years ago, I'm not saying this because I feel like I'm some sort of driving force, but a couple of years ago, there was a couple of guys doing their own thing, doing their own NWA podcast. I had been doing it for a very long time. I was very welcoming to those who were coming into the market to do the same thing. And the old adage is rising tides lift all boats. And I feel like there's plenty of room for more content for the NWA, more content for NWA fans. And I certainly believe that there's room for all of us. So anybody who is doing their thing, let me know, especially if it's NWA content or United Wrestling Network content, and I'll be happy to share and join in on the discussion, if you will. But yeah, hitting the turnbuckles, Fiona's. Chris Drummond says, James says, if the TV deal is USA only, how will overseas fans watch the show, such as Fee, if it's still not on YouTube? I missed something there. I'm going to have to go back and look what you guys are talking about. Sam says, I wish we get Loud Rebellion and singles more often. I think, again, no one asked Jake how's opinion, but I think that Mecha Wolf would make a great TV champion. And I also feel like Bastia would make a great junior heavyweight champion. At the very least, would be great challengers for those prospective titles. Let's see. Oh, I want to get to that one in just a second. Guess we'll have X-Pro footage on Power. That would be cool. I don't have a problem with that. I actually had NWA add back polls last week because of me. Cool, man. I think that's always fun. It makes the show more interactive. James says, I was at the 50th anniversary show in Cherry Hill. The opening match was a three-way dance between Trey, Surfer Ray Odyssey, and the Inferno Kid for the NWA New England Junior Heavyweight Championship. That sounds amazing. You know what? I got to be honest. I could have gone to the 60th anniversary show in Phillips Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. Just didn't have the money to do it. And I regret not being able to be there for that show. I was so happy to be there at the 70th anniversary show. And then this year at the 75th, the 74th, 73rd, they just didn't really tickle my fancy as much as like the big numbers, the 70th, the 75. And, I don't know if I will be going to the 76th anniversary next year. I guess it all depends on what kind of card they're going to present. But I will be at the 80th anniversary show as long as I have oxygen in my lungs. And we'll see how that goes from there. Dow says, I think they're trying to set up an angle with Koa as a valet and the NWA. That makes sense. Chris says, full shows shouldn't be on YouTube. YouTube should be a marketing tool to your platform. I see the pros and cons of that. I think if again, no one asked Jay, but as somebody who's now been running a YouTube channel for a few years, I think if I was in control of a big brand wrestling company like the NWA or the United Wrestling Network, I think I would break everything down into matches and not have the show itself as a vehicle. If you have TV elsewhere, if you don't have TV elsewhere, how else are people going to find your show? If the NWA scores a deal with, great flies in the room now, with let's say they score a deal with a top 20 cable company, and it's now available on a channel that you could watch, you could, all that fun stuff, but they don't stream internationally or whatever, I'd make all the matches available on YouTube still. But I think I would piece it out by show, and I think I would piece things out by the wrestlers and group things that way, a little bit differently. But that's me. All right, let's see. I'm bouncing around because I'm just kind of trying to keep up with the chat. Yeah, hitting the turnbuckle. Let's see. Jay's a dog. I'm a dirty dog. Let's see. That's why NWA needs to broker international deals. I think the NWA needs to focus on getting a decent program on cable that's accessible right now in the U.S. International deals are great, but unless the NWA is planning to make a tour of India or Belarus or Istanbul, or something like that, I feel like you're kind of spinning your wheels here. The NWA is a U.S.-based wrestling promotion. They should be having events and television geared towards that market. Now, that's not to say that the NWA can't go to the UK. That's not to say that the NWA can't go to Australia or Mexico or Indonesia or Germany or any of these places. In fact, I think that's the exact opposite. I think they totally should. But until that happens, look, the NWA could go back to what they were doing before and have content available on Fight for international distribution. There's lots of options. Speaking of that, Jay's Nerdy Life on TikTok says the NWA dropped the ball on Fight TV app. That's how I was able to discover them and watch them. There you go. Jay, before that, they were on YouTube completely for free. Their pay-per-views weren't. Jay also says, I love the Fight app. $50 was a great deal. I did too. I actually really thought that was a great plan. But what I didn't like about that is I paid for something that a lot of people were getting for free. If you could watch the show on Power, I'm paying for the privilege to watch it 2 days early. That didn't seem like the benefit. The real benefit was getting the pay-per-views. Because at that point, Power was kind of an afterthought. And if they wanted to do something where like you could pay like $100 and get every pay-per-view they do for included in that, then I'd be about that. But I feel like the way that it was set up was never going to be a long-term benefit to the NWA. Let's see. Let's see. I live too far away from any arenas. NYC is 7 hours south of me. Yeah, that's 7 hours south. Trying to figure out where you're at then. Geography is not my strong point. Delilah Doom is in WoW as a glitter character, so I didn't realize it was Gloria or so, but don't think it's a fit, but gimmick idea itself is good. Dow, Delilah Doom is basically playing the same character in WoW. She's like a fitness instructor, an 80s yoga fitness instructor. You might be thinking of Heather Monroe's tag team partner, Ray Lynn, who is kind of like a very glittery, like Coachella type festival what is it, electronic music kind of enthusiast. Let's see. They can't just pull Power off YouTube for international fans. If this TV deal is in USA only, I agree. He says, was the 60th anniversary show in Atlanta the only way they held it at a big arena but without much advertising? I believe the 60th anniversary show, I believe there was a lot of local advertising. Dave Marquez helped produce that show. I saw a lot of footage with CNN promoting that show. Maybe it was all after the fact. I'm not entirely sure. I know that the venue itself, it was a sold show. So like the NWA still made a profit, even though it didn't have a huge attendance, but it was also like the Phillips Arena is where the Atlanta Hawks play, or at least that's where they used to play. That type of an arena for the NWA was way too much. Way too much. It should have been a much smaller arena at that point. But I digress. And Sam's going back to St. Louis. Well, I'm sure Fuzz will be there, and I'm sure Luthez will be there. And look, man, barbecue will be there too, right? So it's all good. Let's see. In many ways, YouTube is to get you to join Patreon or other things. I think they should release the single matches and show them promos like WoW does, maybe. But WoW also just has everything up on. WoW has everything up on YouTube. Steve G says, "Hey Jay, where is Limelight defending his United Wrestling Network champion at? It's coming up, but which state is it in? Also, are there other UWN members on the card? Do you know?" Well, Garrison Creed is his opponent. Danny Limelight will be taking on Garrison Creed, and that will be in Wisconsin, which is not an United Wrestling Network affiliate. But for whatever reason, they're having this match out there. And Garrison Creed has actually made a couple of appearances for the NWA, but has been kind of a mainstay for Derby City Wrestling. You might have seen him there. That's the only real United Wrestling Network talent I've seen on it are those two gentlemen. But yeah, that match is coming up, I think, November the 18th. It's on our calendar at alliance-wrestling.com. The area remains when Ring of Honor used to Field of Dreams in the baseball stadium. It looks so empty. Yeah. When you run a wrestling show in like a baseball stadium or in a big arena, it looks bad. I'd rather have less is more. Dow, I don't think anyone would argue with that. I think that they were trying to leverage something bigger. They were getting, as someone who's a content creator on YouTube, I kind of have an understanding of finances and how much money they're actually making. And although nobody from the NWA has ever confirmed this to me, other people who I know involved with production of pro wrestling have told me that basically an episode of Power would cost somewhere around like $10,000 to produce. And if you're not making $10,000 an episode on Power, then you're kind of losing money. Well, you are losing money. So, again, I don't know how true that number is. It's just something that's been floated out to me in the past. But it's also a necessary evil. Like you need to have you need to have some sort of content distribution system. Otherwise, pay-per-views are a hell of a lot harder to sell without anything to show for it. The episodic TV is just a vehicle to get people to pay for wrestling. Every time they run a pay-per-view event, those tickets go on sale. They're like $30-$40. Pay-per-views, they're not cheap either. Pay-per-views, $50 for the 2 episodes of the back-to-back pay-per-views, or a single one for like $25. That's not cheap. But that's how you get people coming to your shows, is by building it up with TV, whether it be YouTube or regular over-the-air antenna or cable or streaming platform of some sort. You have to have people watching the product in order to be invested to spend money on that product. So you give it away on YouTube or you put it behind a pay window on Fight. Either way, it kind of hurts. It doesn't hurt, but either way, you're asking people to pay for something that you're going to have them pay for later. If that makes sense. Now I'm kind of rambling. I'll move on. Power is necessary for Yeah, Devin is right. Power is necessary for storylines. Wrestling matches are all over the indies. Storylines are for the pros. Yeah. Double D got me. Let's see. As with everything, people overseas will find a way to watch. Oh, Fee, that VPN, huh? Is that how you get to watch it on Netflix? Double D's 20 minutes from Canada, a little town called what? Gouverneur? Man, you and Timmy should hang out. How far are you away from Woodstock? Yeah, that is Delilah Doom. She's Gloria Glitter. Okay, you're right. Let's see. Creed versus Limelight in Wisconsin. Do we know the promotion? Ironheart Pro Wrestling. Look at here now. You want to know how much your boy's on top of it? Your boy's on top of it. Let's see. Hudson, Wisconsin. Heebs. Boom, right there. There's a link. Will there be a Hard Times 4 pay-per-view in November? So the original Hard Times pay-per-view for the NWA was in January of 2020. So I don't know if Hard Times 4 necessarily has to be in November. Maybe they push it to December. Possible that it could be January. I think it'll probably be in December, if I'm a guessing man. They're doing a lot of TV tapings in November, and I have heard nothing about a pay-per-view yet. It doesn't mean there won't be, but they're advertising a lot of pay-per-view or a lot of TV tapings in November. For Pori Hemplo, for my friends, after Samhain, there will be the TV tapings on November 4th in Skyway Studios. That's in Nashville. And then the bridge to that, of course, then on November the 17th, they're doing the Invasion card with Fight the World Wrestling. And I think that's coming up pretty soon. And then, of course, then they go back on the next night for more TV tapings at Robarts and again in Sarasota, Florida. So you're seeing there's a couple of tapings there back to back. Maybe that all this builds up to a December pay-per-view because you've got the first tapings early November, second tapings late November or middle November, I guess. And then if you're keeping score at home, and I don't, well, we'll talk about this. We'll talk about that on Thursday. But there's also a big event coming up with Crossfire Wrestling, the Black Harvest event that's going to feature a lot of NWA talents. And then, of course, WrestleCade later in November will also, around Thanksgiving, will have a lot of NWA related talents on that show as well. I have a question in the TikTok channel. It says, what's your all-time favorite championship? Well, I have three of them right here. I have the 10 pounds of gold, which is the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship that I'm smitten with. I'll never not be in love with that title. Of course, you have the NWA Television Championship, I think is one of the prettiest belts. And for sentimental reasons, I love the British Commonwealth Championship from the NWA as well. Back to you guys on YouTube. Let's see. I just saw Rip Rogers' show with Hollywood on it, so got a lot of extra about it. I just remember you always mentioned Derby City or something. Yeah, Derby City is like the other United Wrestling Network. There's Championship Wrestling presented by CarShield, which I don't think is presented by CarShield anymore. And then there's also Derby City Wrestling, which is also on hiatus. And then there's Memphis Championship Wrestling still taking place in Memphis. Sam Retro says, I'm thinking January, Jay. They're doing lots of tapings with a 2-month span. Yeah, I know. They're loading up TV, so maybe it is January, which is okay. It just kind of feels weird that there won't be a Hard Times in 2023. Dow says, I think NWA always has the same pay-per-view each month. I don't know, maybe Samhain is too. Samhain is the first this is the first Samhain pay-per-view for the NWA. Yes. Markova must be not losing 5 times to Camille, only for Kenzie to win. Hey man, that's the booking, I guess. It'll be interesting to see what they do with Max and Markova and Kenzie, because right now with Camille kind of taking a step back from the in-ring competition and focusing on being that insurance policy for Thom Latimer, you lost a little bit of star power, a lot of bit of star power. Now you still have the women are pretty empowered. There's 3 ladies with 3 championships. It's a pretty big deal. Maxine Impaler holding on to your World Television Championship, also a pretty big deal. But then you have talents still on the roster like Markova. You have MJ Jenkins, who we'll see tonight. Ruthie J, who will be challenging for the Women's Championship at Zyon. I mean, there's still a lot of talent on this roster. Samantha Starr. Can't forget about the 3rd generation wrestler there. So I'm not really sure what direction they're going to be heading next. Sam says, I have no issue with closer and more pay-per-views. I don't think any of us do. Fee says they moved the dates for pay-per-views. Crockett Cup was March 22, and then this year, June. Yeah. They're usually fairly close, though. Yeah. I say Sam Hain, so it's weird to hear it every time. Yeah, it is for me too, Dow, and I have always called it Sam Hain as well. But when you have someone who's more, I think it was after the TV tapings in Nashville. I was sitting in the back with whoa, hold on, your boy Jay isn't a backstage guy. I was sitting at the hotel bar with some of the talents. And Mecha Wolf, who somebody I respect a hell of a lot out of, I would even consider Mecha Wolf a friend. He hooked me up in Mexico City, let me go to his concert for free. That's pretty cool if you ask me. I'm still hoping to get him on the podcast soon. And I try to chat with him all the time because he works with AAA and he has spent some time in TJ. I've got to see Mecha Wolf and Bestia wrestle in Tijuana, Mexico multiple times. Getting to see them in Mexico City was a thrill too. I said Sam Hain, and he almost punched me in the face. He says, it's Zyon. And yes, I did know that. It's somebody said, hey, it's like the original St. Patrick's, or excuse me, not St. Patrick's. Sorry, my brain's not working. It's the original Halloween. And it's similar to Halloween, but it's different. But yeah, it was an Irish, like a pagan Irish holiday celebration. But yeah. Dow says, I kind of like Markova with that new partner in tag, Taylor, not Taylor Wilde, Taylor Rising. Man, sorry, Dow, I don't really know what that is. Willie wants Markova to be NWA Women's World Champion. Hey, she's got a road to get through, It looks like she's going to be challenging for the women tag titles. And what we do know about Ella Envy is that she is very, very good at winning those tag titles. It's just hard to hold on to them sometimes. But we're getting close to ending the show. I do want to mention, of course, that, like I said earlier, this is the 14th anniversary of the Alliance Wrestling Radio's first broadcast on Blog Talk Radio. We went from Blog Talk Radio. We went to where else did we go? We're now on. We work with Spotify. That's who our provider is for the podcast content. I need to update that a little bit too. We're a little behind on that, but anyways, I do appreciate you guys being here each and every Tuesday. Again, on Thursday, we're going to be talking about Black Harvest with, it's going to be kind of a big night for them at KFW Crossfire Wrestling. This is another promotion that I think could potentially be a partner with the NWA going forward, much like Exodus Pro. Maybe Crossfire Wrestling could be an affiliate. Maybe that's the show that we should have, is discussing who we think will be the next members to join the NWA. But they're going to have a Juventud Guerrera taking on Thom Latimer. Now, this is before Zyon, so obviously this doesn't have any implications for the NWA 10 pounds of gold, but that should be a fun match that they're going to have. The night one, they're going to have Juventud Guerrera taking on Psychosis. That should be a lot of fun. Those are the type of matches you don't typically get in Tennessee, but then they also are going to have Tessa Blanchard taking on Kylie Ray on night number 2. You're going to have Kenzie wrestling for the Flawless Championship. a lot of good matches that are already scheduled to be there. In fact, I don't think it'll hurt for me to talk about that for just a second. Roswell says, I used to co-host a Blog Talk show many, many moons ago. Yeah, man. I still have an affinity for it, although it was just terrible sounding equipment and stuff. But yeah, real quick, we'll just go through these matches. At Black Harvest, the inaugural Flawless Championship will be determined between Alice Crowley and Kenzie Page. Not a Women's World Championship match. I originally thought it was, but it is not. It's for the Flawless Championship. Also there, we'll have Danny Jordan, who recently challenged for the Women's World Championship. She'll be taking on Ella Envy. We have Carrie and Ricky Morton teaming together to take on Rolando and Tyler Franks. This is a World Junior Heavyweight title match. Colby Carino versus Hunter Drake. That's also on night one of the Black Harvest. And then Camille will be wrestling against Ari Alexander. Of course, these are non-title matches. There's no NWA titles on the line there. And then the KFW Championship Crossfire Wrestling. That's going to have Juventud Guerrera taking on Psicosis. And then also a Battle of Sisters where Kenzie and Kylie will be taking each other on. The Henry sisters are going to go at it. So a lot of fun wrestling there. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I don't know how you can watch it if you're not in Tennessee. Hopefully they'll put those up on YouTube or something. And then, I think that's going to do it for us tonight. Again, Power starts in about 10 minutes. So go get your bathroom breaks, your soda pop, and your popcorn, and enjoy the show. Tomorrow night, our boys Dave Scooby, Tim from the Alliance Gold, and Championship Wrestling Jeremy will all be right here on this channel talking, again, MLW, United Wrestling Network, the NWA, doing some fantasy booking, all that fun stuff. Make sure you tune in. And, of course, on Thursday, we'll be talking about Power, talking about some of the upcoming wrestling promotions that are hosting some NWA talents. And then next Thursday, programming note, we're going to have a joint collaborative Alliance Guys and Other Alliance Guys show on October the 28th. I hope you guys will join us for that. But until next time, we'll see you at the matches. Thanks for checking out the Pre-Party, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. You should hit that subscribe button and join our community. I also want to remind you that we recap NWA Power every Thursday at 8 p.m. in the live stream. We try to stay social, so find us at the Alliance blog. And until next time, we are the Alliance.